सही समय है विचारों का मैदान बोल दिखाओ अपनी भाषा में सब है तैयार राइट और रॉन्ग में क्या डिफरेंस है दे दो अपना ज्ञान let everyone around you know what it's time for यही समय है सही समय है
I would like to welcome and thank the New India Junction to organize an episode of the New India Debates at Manav Rachna Education Institution. NIJ acts as a change maker of the leaders of today and the promises of tomorrow. They even act as to enable the youth to engage and voice their opinions and take actions. They even highlight the change makers who bring upon their innovations and ideas for our nation.
We've all gathered here for the second episode of the New India Debates. Wokes associate themselves with progressive identity politics with an emphasis on addressing the historical grievances of traditionally marginalized groups, which includes ethnic, racial minorities, women, and LGBTQ plus people. But in the present context, a negative connotation about wokeism is that it's getting hypocritical in nature. Though on the face it seems legitimate, we see a number of people driving their own specific and personal agendas and interests through wokeism. Using sensitive issues for personal mileage has now made wokeism hypocritical in nature. Men who associate themselves as women are now engaging in sports in the women's category, and nobody is even raising an eyebrow about the same. It is undeniable that wokeism has animated culture clashes across the world over the past few years and hence needs deliberation. But at the same time, one needs to consider the ideological underpinnings of the woke culture. They often represent a liberal viewpoint and also advocate for social justice issues. With that, I would like to introduce the topic of today, which is wokes are the new entitled hypocrites. I would like to invite our student debaters on stage. Going for the motion, we are going to have Mr. Atishay Kapoor and Mr. Jujar Singh. Can we have a round of applause? And going against the motion, we have Ms. Bhumika Arora and Ms. Himanshi Sharma. So the concept of this debate is very interesting. In the first segment of the debate, we're going to have all the speakers who are going to put forth their opening arguments. In the second segment of the debate, we're going to go into rebuttals and surrebuttals. In the third segment of the debate, we're going to have the question from the moderator as well as the concluding remarks. With that, over to Atishay Kapoor for the opening remarks.
Thank you very much, ma'am. The only vice that cannot be forgiven is hypocrisy. Pretending you are moral, saying you are moral, is not the same thing as acting morally. With this quote, I would like to greet you all. Good morning. My name is Atishay Kapoor, and I'll be speaking for the motion that is wokes are the new generation of entitled hypocrites. The generation nowadays are being a lot sensitive towards minute topics, which then lead the wokes to take offensive decisions and impose their views on others, which creates a very entitled situation. This also tells us about the judgmental attitude that the wokes have nowadays. They are quick to judge and criticize others for not sharing their beliefs, which contradicts the idea of understanding and acceptance. Due to the misunderstandings, simple issues tend to get exaggerated and are blown out of proportion by the wokes. This also gives us an idea of coming out as attention seekers. Whenever an opposing voice or idea is raised, they try to silence them out, which contradicts the idea of open discussion, and they accuse others of wrongdoing without considering their intentions, as they lack empathy and assume the worst about others. To illustrate all my points, I would like to give an example. Nowadays, people tend to form a lot of communities on social media, with each having different point of views and idealization towards a different group. However, there are some people in every group that target other groups and other people for their own beliefs and opinions. They try to degrade the image of the opposing groups and contradict the sayings of their idol, which doesn't leave enough space for an open discussion. Or does it? So, I would like to conclude by taking reference from the example and considering the points that yes, Vokes are the new generation of entitled hypocrites, as they do not respect open discussions and perspectives of other people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Atishay. I think you've made a very strong case, especially by making the reference to the hecklers debate that's also associated with Vokes. Over to our next speaker, Mr. Jujar Singh.
Thank you, ma'am. Darkness can't drive out darkness, only light can do that. Similarly, hate can't drive out hate, only love can do that. A very good morning to one and all present here. My name is Jujar Singh, and today I'm here to speak in favor of the motion that is, Vokes the new generation of entitled hypocrites. So before I begin, I would like to question that what do we understand by the term woke? Vokes are basically those people who are either socially aware or socially active. But there is a difference between being socially aware and socially active. Social awareness is just only limited to one's knowledge. But when it comes to active participation, all your actions and decisions matter a lot to the society. The topic of the debate does not say that wokeism is a negative thing, but yes, it surely turns negative when hypocrisy comes into play. Whenever there's any sort of issue with a particular community, there are a few responsible citizens who would stand up for justice or to get the issue resolved, which is a really appreciable and a courageous task as well. But if the same situation occurs with some other community, those responsible citizens are either silent or speaking against the same topic, but just because it's happening with some other community. The best example I would like to quote is of a person fighting for Ukraine. He would be given the title of a hero. But if some other person does the same for a country, let's say Palestine, he would be given the title of a terrorist. So this clearly shows the double standards of wokeism, which is hypocrisy in itself. The most concerning fact about wokeism is that it mainly favors those topics in which one part of the society is speaking up against the other. For example, we can talk about feminism, racism, even vegans versus non-vegans. In all of these topics, we can see that there is a clear clash between the humanity itself. Instead of this, we must lay more emphasis on those topics in which the humanity is collectively favored as one. But the sad reality is that nobody is interested in such topics. I would like to end my debate with an example that a person making a controversial statement would be given more limelight than a person planting 1,000 trees. With this, I would like to conclude that yes, Vokes are the new generation of entitled hypocrites. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jujar. I think the team going for the motion has made a very passionate case to saying that Vokes are the new entitled hypocrites. Now inviting the team going against the motion over to the first speaker.
First of all, thank you for giving me an opportunity to voice out not only my opinion, but also of the people who are genuinely advocating for a change in the society. As my friend Jujar said, the term woke encompasses a wide range of social activism and awareness. However, everyone who labels themselves as woke cannot be called a hypocrite, as it dismisses the personal experiences, personal beliefs of people who struggle to be accepted in the society every single day. The term woke has nowadays become so highly polarized and oversimplified to the point that nowadays a person can either be too woke or not woke at all. Using the term as a blanket label for hypocrisy can hinder productive conversations about societal awareness and growth. I would like to summarize my view in a few points. The first one being of evolving language. Language and terminology never remains the same. What is considered woke today may reflect the changing dynamics of the society and its issues. Dismissing this hinders awareness about the current issues in the society. The second point being sensitivity towards marginalized groups. Vokes usually sympathize with the marginalized groups who do not get equal representation. This sensitivity for experiences of these marginalized groups can foster empathy and understanding instead of mere entitlement. And if we do not talk about it, then who will? The next point being of intersectionality. Now, I'm pretty sure we might not know what this means as we are too busy focusing on the trolls on social media and labeling themselves as vokes. Intersectionality refers to understanding how a person's identity impacts and intersects with his behavior and experiences over the society. This helps us understand societal inequalities in a much better way, in a more comprehensive way. The major concern I would like to address is of social media amplification. And I would call it amplification because it is amplification. There may be some instances of perceived hypocrisy on social media platforms, but it does not represent the entire movement. The major characteristics of social media is that it magnifies an extreme example to such a degree that it overshadows the more reasoned and sincere efforts of the people who are genuinely advocating for good in the society. I would like to conclude by saying that there is a critique within all of us. And if we stop asking questions, we stop challenging the social norms, we stop challenging the things going around us, then there lies nothing in front of mankind except destruction. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bhumika, especially for highlighting the fear of generalization. Over to our next speaker, Himanshi Sharma.
Woke mind they close, justice they chase, challenging inequality, a better world they embrace. Good morning, my name is Himanshi. It was very interesting to hear my opponents and I do respect their opinion. But I do not share the same interest. For me, wokes are the people who work hard for the betterment of society. And it makes me really sad when I hear people calling them with a weird name, hypocrite. We must understand that sometimes the challenges are complex and the decisions may seem inconsistent. But we should know that these challenges are real life problems and thus require a genuine and practical solution. Activists are not immune to evolve. They must understand that when a person starts to learn more and starts to engage more, his perspective can change over a period of time. And it's not right to criticize someone for having different opinions in past and different opinions in present. For example, I guess we all like Big Boss, right? I never watched it before. But the day when Elvish entered, I literally never missed a single episode. So, am I a hypocrite? Or do I have different opinions? No, I guess. The next thing I would like to target is social media interaction. We all are on Instagrams, right? Have you guys ever tried to figure out what kind of content are you watching, or which kind of influencers are you following, or the memes you are sharing does even contain legitimate information or not? Being active social media users, it's our responsibility to see whether the information is right or not, because sometimes biased information may lead to misunderstanding. The next thing I would like to say was a line that my friend Jajar said, that wokeism is not a bad thing, but it becomes bad when hypocrisy comes into role. I strongly agree on this statement with my opponent, because I believe that a majority works hard to provide us a peaceful and better society. And just a few people, just in order to earn some followers or some money, pretend to be woke. I would like to conclude my speech with a question for all of you. Is it ethically right for us to label entire society as hypocrites just because of few wokes? Think about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Himanshi, especially for giving some very relatable examples and also reminding us of our responsibility as content viewers, that we have to be mindful and always take it with a pinch of salt. Now coming to the nail-biting segment of the debate, the rebuttals and sur-rebuttals. Inviting Atishe to go ahead with the rebuttals.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It was really interesting to hear my opponents. My learned friend Bhumika said one thing, and I quote, either people are referred to too woke or they are referred to not woke at all. So I would like to correct this. Those who identify as woke often see themselves as morally superior to those who do not. And they use public shaming and guilt as tactics to enforce their beliefs. This approach can lead to a toxic environment in which individuals fear expressing their opinions for fear of being ostracized or labeled as insensitive. The woke movement is accused of erasing individuality and discouraging independent thought, leading to a homogenization of culture and a lack of tolerance for alternative viewpoints. My friend Bhumika also made a point on evolving language. By the term evolving language, we refer to talking more respectfully with other people and understanding all the points they make, rather than contradicting them disrespectfully and imposing one's views on the other. That's all I would like to contradict. Thank you.
Thank you, Atishay. I can definitely feel things getting heated up on stage here. Over to Jujar.
Thank you, ma'am. So Himanshi spoke really well, but her point of views were like as if she's comparing this matter with a drop of water in the entire ocean. Well, I would like to contradict that, ma'am. If the matter was as small as a drop of water, then we would not be discussing about it in today's debate. But this drop of water has turned into a big tsunami instead. And this tsunami is eating the mankind severely. People are losing their relationships. People are getting distracted from their paths and responsibilities. The second aspect I would like to talk about is social media. I agree that wokeism has got a boom via social media. And as Himanshi mentioned, that this also includes the spreading of false and biased information. Well, I would like to say that people must refer to some certified or authorized source to gain knowledge on a particular topic, but they rather prefer social media. Out of all the content creators, the amateur and uneducated ones contribute up to a really large extent. And if you are getting triggered by consuming an amateur's content, then you are just making a fool of yourself. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
So I noticed that a lot of points of the team going against the motion have been contradicted by the team going for the motion. So let's invite the other team to put forth their rebuttals. Over to you, Bhumika.
Thank you, ma'am. My friend Atishay spoke really well. However, he has constantly been contradicting the idea of equality and freedom of speech by referring to marginalized groups as equals. Equality refers to equal representation, which marginalized groups do not get. It is our duty, as per the Constitution, to uplift them and not presume that they are equal to us. They do not come from privilege. Some people do, not all of them, and we need to respect that. The second point being, he is constantly propagating the idea that wokes silence the majority by cancelling them. Well, this is something solely related to social media culture. Have we ever seen anyone face any real legal liability for being virulently conservative and disrespectful towards wokes? No. People who actually face liability are people like Jaswant Singh Kalra, who were killed because they spoke up against something which usually isn't spoken about. The last point I would like to contradict is that wokes have been portrayed to be streamlined towards a very finite set of topics, LGBTQIA+, veganism, etc. However, we need to know that this term has been way in use before any Gen Z or millennial even came into the picture. The term was literally coined by African Americans in the late 1800s to convey their struggles. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bhumika. And thank you for mentioning the stereotyping of wokes as well. With that, let me invite the next speaker to take on the rebuttals.
I would like to contradict Jujar for saying that there is a difference between being socially active and socially aware. It is well said by Sir Albert Einstein that imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited and imagination encircles the world. Our life is practically shaped by our mind. We become whatever we think. So if we have a thought, then we are going to do something. So practically, being socially aware is more important than being socially active. Another aspect that has triggered me was when Jujar said, when he compared topics like feminism and racism with a topic like veganism versus non-veganism. This way was not only insensitive, but also very disrespectful towards the people who have really worked hard to give equal rights to people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Himanshi. Now let's move to the last segment of the debate, which is going to be the question and answer round with the moderator and the teams giving their final concluding stance on the issue. So the first question goes to the team going for the motion. I think Atishay will be taking this question. Your question, Atishay, is this: that isn't wokeism being trashed as dangerous to cover up on uncomfortable truths that society could not devise a mechanism to handle its rebels amicably?
So, activism, fighting for rights, voicing what the marginalized cannot, is not rebellious. It is the need of the hour. Having said that, how many woke out there are actually uncovering those truths and pioneering a change? Just a handful. The rest are unfortunately the mindless rebels, as you put it, and in my opinion, are rightfully trashed. The actual warriors of our society's underprivilege are not on social media waving flags or feeling sentimental over other woke's comments. The real wokeism is working on the ground alongside the ones who need a helping hand. So let me reiterate again, today's woke is an entitled hypocrite largely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Atishe. Jajar, could we have the final concluding stance from the team?
Yes, ma'am. So as Atisha spoke really well, I would like to conclude that wokeism was meant for some positive changes in the society. But today, more than positive changes, we are seeing controversies over controversies. Even the politicians are using the agenda of wokeism for their electoral benefits. And we, being the citizens of this nation, must understand this. In the past few years, we have seen so many conflicts and controversies. And these controversies even include the loss of human lives. And if wokeism costs human lives, then humanity simply cannot afford it. As in the end, each one of us deserve a peaceful life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jajar. Thank you for the team going for the motion to successfully close your case. Let's come to the team going against the motion. And the question to you, Bhumika, is as follows. Beyond creating an illusion that woke views, values, and moral compass hold absolute truth, identify the measurable contributions of woke culture to well-being of Indian society.
Thank you so much for the question, ma'am. First of all, I would like to point out the statement holds absolute truth. What is truth? Truth is subjective. Even in a courtroom of justice, the truth always does not win. What is presented as evidence wins. And the evidentiary value of the sad reality of people who do not come from privilege cannot be ignored. So they will win. There are some landmark judgments and cases which talk about how wokes have contributed to the society as a whole. My friend Atisha said, where are these wokes? Are there any wokes out there? I will mention a few of them. The first one being Navtej Singh versus Union of India, a 2018 case. Supreme Court judgment which decriminalized homosexuality and ripped off Section 377 of IPC. I'm sure we all are aware about that. This was a significant step towards more inclusivity and LGBTQIA+ rights. The second case I would like to mention is Indra Sawhney versus Union of India, 1992 case. This is also known as the Mandal Commission case. I'm pretty sure you all might know about it. This case was, again, a step towards an affirmative action and representation of historically marginalized groups in the society. And if this was not there, then the idea of reservation would not exist today, and a lot of people would not gain the benefit from it, the genuine benefit of it, ignoring the creamy layer. So there have been continuous contributions towards making the society a better place by these wokes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bhumika. I think a couple of the lawyers and law students sitting here, we were very excited to hear the tracing of the constitutional landscape and some important landmark judgments of constitutional law. Let me invite Himanshi for the final concluding remarks of the team.
To conclude, I would like to say that wokes are the people who are the catalyst in the betterment of society. And it's not ethically correct to call these catalysts as hypocrites. When we call wokes hypocrites, we are not only disrespecting these people, but we are also disrespecting all those people who have worked hard for the betterment of society and just to give us a peaceful life in the society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, teams. I'm sure every attendee sitting here with me in the audience resonates with feelings of awe and amazement for the wonderful debate that we have witnessed this afternoon. Can we have another round of applause for them? So now, while our judges have this Herculean task of compiling the results, I think this is the segment all of us have been waiting for. The interaction with our chief guest of this afternoon, Shri Tejasvi Surya ji. He's a youth icon and an inspiration to many of us. He's a member of parliament from the Bengaluru South constituency.
Thank you so much, New India Junction, for organizing this very contemporary debate on this very contemporary issue that is being discussed among young people across not just the country but around the world. And a big round of applause to both the teams. They made some really interesting points and for enthusiastically participating in this program. Can we hear a round of applause for them? 2014 was a very important year for India. Can you tell me what happened in 2014? क्या हो गया? थोड़ा जोर से बोलो भैया. Who became the Prime Minister in 2014? I hear Rahul Gandhi from somewhere. उठा दो यार उनको, जगा दो. Who is that? Who became the Prime Minister in 2014? जोर से बोलो. Modi. So Modi ji became Prime Minister in 2014. Now in 2014, what was the position of India? Economically, पूरे विश्व में there were 5 countries that were considered to be the weakest economies. And the 5 countries were named as Fragile 5. Right? Fragile मतलब क्या होता है? Fragile मतलब क्या होता है? Delicate होता है, weak होता है, right? So there were 5 countries which were considered as the weak economies. So India was one of the fragile 5 economies in 2014. Now I have a general knowledge question to all of you. Among the world economies today, what is the position of India? Third, हम होंगे, आप सबके, हम सबके प्रयास के वजह से 2-3 साल के अंदर अंदर होंगे, मोदी जी के 3rd टर्म में होंगे. But today where are we? We are the world's 5th largest economy. So what is the journey from 2014 to 2023? What have we done? From जोर से बोलिए, fragile 5 to top 5. This is what the country has done in the last 9 years. From being the most kamzor 5 economies to becoming one of the 5th top 5 economies of the country, of the world. This is what the country has done. How have we done this? Now, in 2013, 2014, I told you that the country was going through a lot of challenges. One of the challenge was, one of you said that there was no trust in government. There was corruption at a large scale. This was one big change that has taken place. So because of corruption, there was economic woes, there was uncertainty in policy, and there was absolute policy paralysis. Policy paralysis मतलब क्या होता है? The government was not in a position to take strong, decisive steps, strong action. And when governments cannot take strong policy action, investors do not have confidence to come and invest. Investors do not have confidence to come and start new businesses. So 2014 se pehle, the problem was the country had economic woes, there was large-scale corruption, there was policy paralysis. And as a result of that, desh mein what were happening? High inflation ho raha tha. There was depreciation of the currency. There was high current account deficit and high fiscal deficit. मतलब देश का कर्ज बढ़ रहा था, right? And विदेश से, institutional lenders से देश बहुत ज़्यादा लोन ले रखा था. So because of all of these things, the country's economy was in doldrums. उसके वजह से क्या हुआ? The country's ratings as a nation decreased. The country's FDI क्या होता है? क्या होता है? Foreign direct investment कम हो गया. इन्वेस्टमेंट जब कम होता है क्या होता है? फैक्ट्रीज, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कम हो जाता है. उससे क्या होता है? लोगों के पास जितना काम होता है वो कम हो जाता है. उससे एक्सपोर्ट्स कम हो जाता है. जब हम एक्सपोर्ट कम करते हैं तब देश के पास जो पैसा होता है, जो आदाय होता है देश का, इनकम जो होता है, वो भी कम हो जाता है. राइट? इट्स अ साइकिल. सो दिस इज व्हाट happened in the country before Narendra Modi became Prime Minister. Then, I want all of you to very keenly study and observe these graphs. GDP growth was 4.5. What is it today? कितना है? 7.8. What was the inflation? 8.7. महंगाई के बारे में बात करते रहते हैं ना ये लोग. महंगाई कितना था? 8.7 था. आज कितना है? 4.8 है. FDI, we just saw that because of policy paralysis, because of corruption, because of all of these things, FDI का बहुत कम हुआ था. What was FDI? How much? How much is it today? मतलब कितना? Twice and plus. 2013 से पहले अगर 100 रुपए FDI आता था तो आज कितना आ रहा है? 200 से ऊपर आ रहा है. Right? That is the difference in FDI. Exports कितना था? $300 billion. आज कितना है? Even in exports कितना इंप्रूवमेंट हुआ है? Twice. Exports में twice इंप्रूवमेंट हुआ है. Forex reserve क्या होता है? Can anybody explain this? There are so many students from law, students from engineering. Forex reserves क्या होता है? देश का foreign exchange reserves. मतलब if tomorrow India wants to buy something from, say buy petroleum from Saudi Arabia, right? It depends on how much money India has at its disposal, which is foreign exchange reserves. So if India wants to trade with any other country and buy anything, the capability of our strength to buy depends on the forex reserves. So जितना ज़्यादा होता है उतना देश का क्षमता ज़्यादा होता है. So what was it 2013? $270 billion. आज कितना है? कितना है? 600 billion in just 9 years. Current account deficit. मतलब, I don't know how many of you are students of economics or anything, but I'm sure some, in law at least, when I was a student of law, we studied some economics. Are you studying some economics now as well? Basic economics. Right? So, current account deficit is the gap between our income and the gap between the expenditure. So, it was 5.1% of GDP, it is now 2% of GDP. Like this, if you look at any particular graph, whether it was inflation, whether it was our exports, whether it was our FDI, in every aspect there is almost a 2 times increase in the last 9 years. This is why over the last 9 years we became from fragile 5 to top 5. Now, this is a very interesting chart. 2009 to 2014 के बीच में, look at this chart. While the GDP growth was somewhere around 7.9, the inflation was 10.8. Can you see this? Look at the second one. GDP growth is 8.5. Inflation is 12.1. GDP growth is 5.2 and inflation is 8.9. Take the last one, 6.4 and inflation is 10%. Let me explain to you in very, very simple terms what this means. अगर आप में से कोई बाहर काम कर रहे हैं, आपका सैलरी आ रहा है, ठीक है? If you are earning 100 rupees and if your kharcha is 110 rupees, आपका सेविंग्स कितना है? कितना है? अगर आपका इनकम 100 रुपए है और आपका एक्सपेंडिचर 110 रुपीज है, आपके पास सेविंग्स कितना है? -10, right? So this is exactly what is seen here. Negative savings because inflation was more than GDP growth. So 2014 से पहले the amount of money that India and Indians were earning versus the pace at which inflation was going ahead, there was a lot of difference. Our income was less, our inflation was high, therefore there was no savings in the country. Now, fast forward to 2022, 2023, you will see that except the COVID year, inflation is always less than GDP growth. Are you getting the point? So now what is happening? 2014 se pehle, you were earning 100 rupees and you had to spend 110 rupees. Now, you are earning 110 rupees and you are spending 103 rupees, 104 rupees. Which is what? 6 rupees of savings, 7 rupees of savings. Are you getting this point? Are you understanding this? Now, this 6 rupees of savings that Indians are doing, where is this going? This is going into people are investing in stocks, people are investing in mutual funds, people are buying new properties, people are doing more digital transactions, people are consuming more goods. Because of this more savings, because of this more consumption, there is an overall buoyancy and strength in the economy. Are you all understanding this? Are you all following what I'm saying? Yeah? So this is a fundamental difference that we are seeing before 2014 and after 2014. Now, this is a very, very interesting slide. See how, can you see this? See where India was and where India is and where India will be. Still we are not there in the top 10. Now, 2027, we will be the top 3rd economy in the world. I want to tell all of you a very interesting factoid. I want to again ask all of you, let me see. Whoever answers this question right, okay, whoever will answer this question right, will get a special treat from me. India got independence in? This is not the question, by the way. In 1950, when Jawaharlal Nehru was the Prime Minister, what was India's position as the top economies in the world? 1950, it was very low. Okay. Top? She is saying very low, you are saying top 3 or 5, yaar. 1950, when Jawaharlal Nehru was the Prime Minister, what was India's position in the world economy? 100 and? Are Google, I am seeing everybody now going back to your phones. Ye cheating hai. Okay, I am not going to let all of you go and Google this. India was the 6th largest economy in the world. He was very close to that. But it was just a guess, it was fluke. Was it a fluke? Almost a fluke. So, what was India's position? India was the 6th largest economy. Despite what? Despite 1,000 years of colonization. मतलब 1000 साल तक इस देश को विदेशियों ने आक्रमण कर कर लूट लिया था, उसके बावजूद भी 1950 में भारत 6th लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी था. Right? Now, fast forward it to 1967, 1968, when Lal Bahadur Shastri took over as Prime Minister from Jawaharlal Nehru, India was the 12th largest economy in the world. And many of you will be surprised to know this, जब लाल बहादुर शास्त्री जी ने प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में काम करना शुरू किया, भारत के पास चावल और अनाज भी नहीं था और हम अमेरिका से भीख मांगने जैसे we had to import अनाज और राइस in 1968-69. So what was Nehru's contribution from 1950 to 1967? From 6th position to 12th position. What is Narendra Modi ji's contribution? From fragile 5 to top 5. This is the difference between 1950 to 1968 and 2014 to 2023. Are you seeing this difference? This is what the numbers are speaking. Look at these difference in the headlines. 2013, one headline said, economy grows at slowest rate in a decade in 2033. In 2023, what is the headline saying? India is fastest growing economy in the world. What was industrial growth in 2013? What was it? 20-year low, 1%. What is it in 2023? It's a high manufacturing growth in the economy. NPA 50% ज़्यादा हो गया था 2013 में. Now it has come to 3.1. We were the fragile 5 and today we are the fastest growing economy. This is the change. Now while doing all of this, who benefited the most? Who benefited the most? The poorest of Indians benefited the most. I want to end with saying this, my dear friends. आज का डिबेट जो था, डिबेट का subject was about wokeism, about socialism, about, seeing, okay, we want to be voice for the poor, we want to be this is a capitalist economy. You would have heard Rahul Gandhi say this is suit boot ki sarkar, correct? That Modi ji Adani ke liye kaam karte hain, Ambani ke liye kaam karte hain. Have you heard all of these things? This slide gives you a real indication of who Narendra Modi really works for. 50 crore Indians got access to bank accounts for the first time. That happened because this government has worked for the poorest of Indians. 11 crore women got access to toilets for the first time because Narendra Modi built toilets for India's women, 11 crore of them in just 9 years. They are the ones that he works for. The poorest of Indians, 4 crore of them, got a makan, got a home that they call their own, thanks to the Prime Minister. There is a very interesting tidbit I want to share. Do you know all of these homes that are built under the Prime Minister Awas Yojana? It is not registered in the name of the man of the house. It is registered in the woman of the house. So it is true women empowerment at play. 31 lakh crore rupees is transferred through direct benefit transfer. Do you remember? There were times when Sarkar from Delhi would release something and by the time it would reach the village, the middlemen would have eaten up all of this. Now, if 1 rupee is transferred, 1 rupee completely comes into your account, and not just that, message bhi aata hai, SMS bhi aata hai ki debit ho chuka hai, credit ho chuka hai. 31 lakh crore rupees has been transferred. 12 crore jobs have been created. Kitna? In the MSME sector alone, 12 crore jobs have been created. 8 crore new entrepreneurs have been created just to Mudra Yojana. And by entrepreneurs, I just don't mean a Paytm. I just don't mean a Zerodha. Like I said, it may be somebody, 2 women, 3 women coming together and starting a small achar manufacturing unit. Even that is entrepreneurship. 8 crore such new entrepreneurs have been created. Defense exports may, one of your friends made this point, that we were earlier importing. Today we are exporting. What is the size of our export? 16,000 crores we have exported in defense manufacturing today. Imagine the scale. And this is something that I really want all of you to look at. 35 crore people have got access to Ayushman Bharat insurance. You know how big that number is? And more than 35 crore women. You will be surprised to know this. Even to this day, there is a taboo in the country, especially amongst the women in a rural households, to get screened for breast cancer and cervical cancer. But it's a disease that eats them up alive silently. More than 35 crore women in India have got free screening for detection of cancer in breast cancer and cervical cancer cases. Imagine how many poor Indian women have been saved because of that. And all of that has happened because of the Ayushman Bharat mission. If you are around Delhi, if you come around AIMS, if you come around Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital, you will see so many people जो बिहार से आए हैं, उत्तराखंड से आए हैं, यूपी के दूर दराज गांवों से आए हैं, who stay for weeks sleeping outside the footpaths. And you know, before visiting the doctor, who they would have visited? They would have visited the money lender. They would have visited that pawnbroker, where they would have mortgaged their house documents, Mangal Sutra of the wife. This was the situation. Up to 5 lakh rupees free treatment in any hospital. That's what Ayushman Bharat has given to India today. While we have been doing all of this, the country has also found great confidence, self-confidence in its abilities. Nothing reflects it better than some of the recent achievements in just the last 1 week. Just look at the headlines that Indians all over the world have created in the last 1 week. We became the first nation in the world to successfully land near the South Pole of the moon. We are now going to be one of the very few nations, one of the only 3 nations in the world that is going to have a successful solar mission that is going to be launched on the 2nd of September, that is tomorrow, Aditya L1. Just last week, a 18-year-old young Indian, Pragnananda, made headlines all over the world by re-establishing Indian hegemony, Indian supremacy in chess. A game that our ancestors invented right here in India. India is making headlines again. Our national hero, a poster boy of athletics, Neeraj Chopra, won the javelin throw world championship another time and re-established his supremacy. He made headlines again. For the World Athletics Relay Championship, our 4-men team, 4 into 400 relay. Did you watch that video? In the commentator, while describing an Indian runner, says that this was absolutely unexpected. The Indians are having a run of their lifetime. That was what he was commenting when he was looking at us chasing. They were running like cheetahs. We put behind Japan, we put behind Botswana, we put behind many African nations. Whether it's sports, whether it's space, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's sericulture, whether it is agriculture, whether it is politics, whether it is entrepreneurship, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is digital inclusion, whether it is giving insurance to the large number of people, whether it is patents, whether it is anything. I saw just in your Manav Rachna University's brochure, just look at that. 535 plus patents filed and granted. Can you look at that? That is again an indication of India's growing research foundation, research and technology prowess. This, my dear friends, is the story of how a country today is on the rise. My request to all of you before I conclude is this. The last 10 years were an extremely important period for India. From being considered the weakest, we are now being considered one of the strongest. For millions of Indians who were left hopeless, there is hope today. For millions of Indians who never had seen the inside of a bank, there is banking sector that has gone right inside their homes and has brought them in a formal economy. The last 10 years have been monumental for the country. But remember this, the next 10 years is going to be even more important and critical for India than what the last 10 years was. And it is there that all of our collective responsibility and our participation matters. The next 10 years, whatever we touch will turn gold. Remember this. Whatever Indians will touch the next 10 years will become gold. So if you are 18 today, if you are 20 today, if you are 21 today, dedicate the next 10 years of your life for this larger goal of seeing India right at the top of the world. And along with its growth, just like how India lifted out 13.5 crore people out of poverty, it is going to take all of us to new riches, new prosperity, and new happiness. And India, in less than 10 years from now, powered by all of our energy and strength, our dreams and ambitions, our energy, India is going to firmly establish itself as the leader of the world in all aspects, defense to engineering, technology to space. That's the reality that you and I will not only live to see, but it's a reality that you and I will craft for the country. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience, Manav Rachna. Great talking to you. Namaste.
So now for the results that we've all been waiting for. Any guesses? For? Okay, I hear fours as well as against. Sanya, over to you if you could announce the winning team and their members.
So the winning team is Mr. Atishay of BTech CSE, AIML, SCT, MRIRS.
And along with that, can we have Jujar on stage as well? The team for the motion wins the debate.
यही समय है, सही समय है विचारों का मैदान।